The face of mental illness. When you hear this phrase, you might think of this. But really, I'm the face of mental illness. I'm your sister, I'm your neighbor, I'm your grocer, I'm your teacher, your friend, your gardener, I'm your cousin, or even your pastor. I could be one of your closest friends, or your mechanic, or a police officer. We are the face of mental illness, and these are our stories. We hope you can listen to them and understand a little bit more about who we are.
All right, so tell me about yourself. Tell me who you are, what you do.
My name is Renee Rojas. I don't know, I have a lot of titles these days. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. I'm diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I don't remember if it's 1 or 2. I can't quite remember which one it is.
And how old are you?
I'm 34 years old. I've been living with a mental illness since 2003.
Okay.
I was diagnosed kind of like around October of 03. No, it was 03. Yeah.
And who is this lovely lady?
This is my mother, Nena Rojas. No, Maria Elena Rojas for everyone official. And this is Nena Rojas to everybody who doesn't call her Maria.
And it sounds to me like you guys have been on this journey together.
Yes.
Which is very endearing to see such a strong bond through something so traumatic.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and we have a couple people missing. My sister's not here, and my father passed away 7 years ago. So he started with us too. And we've had a long journey since then.
What is bipolar disorder? If you could put it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bipolar disorder is a series of mood swings, up and down. Up when you're up, you're called what's called mania, and you have euphoric feelings, and you're on top of the world, and you can do anything, and any little task is like an amazing thing you can accomplish. And you also have experiences that are outside of your normal feelings, and if they're not controlled by medication, you can do some damaging things because you don't have like a pullback. You don't have constraints or restraints in that feeling that you're feeling. Some people do damaging things, like they do drugs and alcohol, and they have sexual adventures and things like that. Before I got diagnosed, I was working in the education field. I was trying to get my teaching credential, and I was teaching in the classroom in the LA Unified School District classroom. And when I first entered the classroom, I was doing okay, and then all of a sudden I kind of hit a manic phase. And then I went through a depressive phase after I got off track when I was on vacation, and that really hit me very, very hard. And I didn't know what was quite wrong with me at the time, and I decided to made the decision that I was going to quit. I told the principal that I needed to leave, and he was concerned about me and asked me some questions, and basically I didn't look well to anybody either. People were concerned about me. But after a couple weeks went by, I was like, no, how can I do this to my students? And I tried to go back and I tried to restart things up, but it was the worst thing I could have done. Like, I really did not do a good job at the end of the year. And
how have you managed being bipolar and still living a healthy, productive life?
I will be honest and say that it hasn't been 100% healthy. I think some of the things that I've dipped into with issues of just questioning everything and even questioning God's existence has been the most challenging part. I had the hardest time accepting that this was going on with me, because up until the moment I ended up in the hospital, I thought that everything, that God had planned it all out, and nobody understood me, and nobody understood what was going on with me, and that God and I were having this amazing conversations, and He was planning everything, and He had everything in mind. But then I ended up in the hospital, and that hit reality. Reality hit, and I was like,
were you hospitalized because you were having like a emotional breakdown?
I was having a mental, a breakdown. Just to kind of speed up, I ended ended up quitting my job, and then
Okay.
I stayed at home for a while. And that staying at home for a while is what caused me to end up being told by a pastor at the time. He said, we're concerned about you. We want you to go get checked. And so my parents took me to USC and had me diagnosed. As soon as they said that it was bipolar, I was like, of course, yeah, that's good. That's what it's going to be, right? Because to me, it was like some normal thing, but for my parents, it was a big, just like, what? Slam on the brakes type of reaction, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, it was like, okay, everything's fine, let's keep going, you know? And then they put me on medication, and then you feel the effects of that, and you're like, what the heck's going on with you, you know? And at first, I was okay with everything, but then I started questioning things and wondering. I think it was my mania at the time. I was pretty manic at the time. That was kicking me into like this reactive gear of just wanting to get more answers and more questions answered than what I understood. And we had somewhat of a falling out with our church because of the way they reacted to my diagnosis, and that didn't help me. That scared me, and that spiraled me even worse. It spun me out of control, and I ended up having a huge argument with my sister, a physical fight with her, and got me so scared that I ran away from home. Even though I was 25 at the time, I ran away from home. I was living at home still, and then at that moment I ran away from home because I didn't know what to do. But I ran away with no money. I had no job. I had no income. My car was pretty much, I had no more money to make the payments on my car, and I took off and went to the beach. That's the more serenity place that I could think of at the time, you know? And that's what caused me to end up being hospitalized.
Okay.
I was stranded on the beach because I ran out of gas. And they took me into the hospital and held me for 3 days. But after 3 days, they didn't put me anywhere. They didn't hospitalize me anywhere. They put me on a 72-hour hold and did not put me anywhere. And so they released me to my parents. After that, I ran away again.
Okay.
That landed me up in Redlands in California. I went to school in Redlands. So I went to Redlands and ran into a couple of friends. People were super concerned about me. And what happened to me as I was driving around, and I literally wanted to crash the car. Like I was so out of control. I had not slept for 3 days.
How did you handle all this?
One of the nurses he looked the computer and give me information, and when he gave it to me and I read it, I didn't even understand.
Yeah.
And I say, no, this is not true. But when she got out of the hospital, and she went to the library and bring a lot of books, and I started reading the books. But the nurse told me she's gonna have a normal life when they start giving her a treatment.
Okay.
So that gave me hope, you know, because even he was telling me that, and I was reading and learning, like peace come to my heart.
Now, after your hospitalization, that's when your treatment started?
Well, I went to the hospital for help. I said, I need medication. I'm suicidal. And they're like, oh, sit down, lay down. And I was so freaked out. I'm like, no, I'm not going to lay down because I don't know what's going to happen to me if I lay down. They're like, we're just going to give you meds. You know, they tried to relax me. As soon as they put the meds in me, I'm sure they gave me a shot or something, I was out. I don't remember ending up in the hospital. All of that going on, the falling out of the church, running away from home, having a physical argument with my sister, all these things falling apart, like on me, like at the last minute. Ended up stranded on the beach overnight with all this spiritual warfare stuff going on with me, like feeling that I was being attacked spiritually by demonic possession and the demons and Satan and everything. I just lost it. I ended up in the hospital, and I was just like, what the heck? I'm like, what the heck, God? What the heck? You know? And I had a very, 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 very tight, close relationship with God at a very young age, and here I am, 25, in a hospital with a lot of stuff that's messed up, and I'm not sure anymore. You know what's going on with my relationship with God. Now the funniest thing is that was the one moment that I remember letting go, but that was the one moment I remember God holding on.
Right.
I clearly can see that God held on to me. I let go of God, but He didn't let go of me.
Why do you think so many people who have a mood disorder or mental illness are so afraid to let other people know what they have and what they're struggling with.
I noticed that people around me were either super sympathetic or super annoyed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that were annoyed by it, it wasn't always the nicest thing, you know? So when you've experienced some of that annoyance and some of that feeling that people don't have empathy for you because they think you're just, who knows, maybe they think you're making it up, or maybe they think you're overdoing it by sharing so much and things like that. Like, you start realizing that you're not supposed to tell everybody everything. You know, you're not supposed to tell everybody all the little itty-bitty experiences that you're feeling because they are uncomfortable with it. It doesn't rub them the right way. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. They have no idea whether you're doing the right thing. They don't know if you're really on your medication or not for medication. They don't know how to react. It's also an issue, like a cultural issue sometimes. Yeah. Like, sometimes people in my culture don't get it. They don't understand that I cannot live without medication. With my condition, I have to be on medication no matter what. And that is a big issue. I don't know if it's just a cultural issue too, but it is across the board, like, an issue. Yeah. I've had people question me or say, but God can heal you. And I'm like, that's wonderful. I'm 100% all for healing. But at this moment in time, there is no clear indicator that says I cannot be bipolar anymore.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Healing factor.
Yeah, there's no I can't get off my medication and magically say I'm healed. You know, like, those are things that, not because I don't want to, it's just things I'm being responsible for.
You're being realistic.
I'm being realistic, and I'm being super responsible for my care, you know? And it hasn't been an easy road. Like, I've had multiple hospitalizations at this point because it's taken me a while to get on the cuff of being well medicated. I started going to Rock Harbor immediately after that hospitalization because I felt some peace there. Mm-hmm. And I just started going there, and I would hear things that I had heard before, but I wasn't sure, and I just decided I'm going to start over. I've been able to rebuild my relationship with God on a much stronger foundation than my childhood foundation. My childhood foundation was very small and very, you know, was this childlike faith, you know, but now life hit me hard, and that stuff happened to me, and I had some real questions with God, and it really fortified my faith in God. And I still struggle. The biggest struggle I have with these days that I didn't used to have before was trusting God through everything. Trusting God through all of it has been the hardest journey to take. But it has been the most fulfilling in my heart because trusting God that much has really changed my life.
How would you change the face of mental illness in our community? And I know that's a big question, but basically, working in mental health, I'm sure you know there's stigmas attached to it. You know, whether it's in the faith community or in the non-faith community, people don't understand, and people are isolated, and there's boundaries.
I'm gonna be practical. The way I was treated in the hospital was I've been to like 5 different hospitals, and the way I was treated in those hospitals has been vastly different every single time. The only place that I've been the most comfortable going to is College Hospital right here by our house, and everyone else, though, it's like
so the condition of our institutions,
just even from the physical location to the way that I don't know if it's the way the staff is so run down. They're so run down at that point that they're not really giving their best anymore. I get mixed services all the time, you know. And I would really change that because
you get good treatment.
Yeah, you already feel like crap when you're in there. You don't want to be treated even worse than you're already in. I would also focus what I'm doing now, helping people who are in that place fulfill their lives, like be able to move forward with their lives, even though they're struggling and they're having issues, that they can find fulfillment and be kind of like an advocate for them.
And then from like a community perspective, like if there was an opportunity to create some kind of movement to help people outside of the mental illness community to change their thinking and to change their perspective, what would you do, or what would be some things that you would say maybe to help people understand more?
Just like life is a process, living with this mental illness is a process, and it takes a while for you to adjust. Even though there's people that don't want to adjust because they don't want to take their medication, understand that that is where they're at, and that if we help them where they're at, then maybe in the future they might get to a place where they're going to be more stable, you know. But embracing people when they're talking about their mental illness and not shying away from it, not getting scared about it. And if something like someone in your life has a breakdown and they end up in a hospital, go get educated, get information. Don't just sit there and say, well, I don't know what to do. Like the very first thing when you see signs of someone with a mental illness is go get some education about it. Use the resources that are already set up in the community, like NAMI, right, or other services that provide information for you to go get educated and understand how to be supportive, not fix.
Right.
You don't need to fix anybody. You need to be supportive, because the people that are gonna fix is themselves. We as the mentally ill have to work on being responsible and taking care of ourselves, and the ones around us loving on us.
Sounds to me like you have done a really good job in equipping yourself with information so that you can support your daughter.
And ask God for, you need patience, because sometimes I want to run away.
I feel that way with my 12-year-old. Okay, well, I think that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to say, or?
That is hope.
I just want to tag in everyone who has been there for me. Just want to thank them, because it's been a world of difference. Than for people who have had a hard time. I know that I've hurt some people along the ways, and I've known that I haven't been perfect the whole time. I've been off my meds, and I've been kind of not on purpose. It just kind of happened, and I had some episodes because of that, and I kind of might have damaged some pretty good relationships I had at the time. And I just want to reach out to them and let them know that I still care about them. I love them, and I understand that it's hard for everyone to understand everything that goes on with me. So,
and then we are blessed.
yeah.